Hello, mate. How are you?
I'm okay. How are you?
Yeah, good.
Oh,
Looking forward to this. Slightly too much material.
Too much material?
Uh-huh.
Oh, wow.
Well,
Very
when it was
intriguing.
bad, we had a 7 clipper a few weeks ago. This one's a 12 clipper.
Yes.
I have prepared 2 alternative openings for this one.
Okay.
The second one may be a little questionable taste-wise.
Okay.
And if I'm admitting that, why don't we roll with both? And then
I sit nervously wondering which one is going to pop in on Monday.
no, I will take your guidance on it.
First 7 days.
Audiobook Club with Steve Phillips and Matthew Layton.
On this episode of Audiobook Club, we urge you not to buy Elton John's new audiobook.
The fans create an energy every night, and that energy is what fuels me to be the best I can be. The decision to retire from touring was an easy one. I don't regret it for a minute. The Farewell Yellow Brick Road tour allowed me to go out on top, in the right way.
Audiobook Club with Steve Phillips and Matthew Layton.
On this episode of Audiobook Club, Richard Armitage explains why Elton John goes to Russia to perform.
Since 1979, I've been back to Russia many times. I've returned for the people who have been my fans, and for the LGBTQ+ community who need me to go there and support them. In 2013, Russian President Vladimir Putin signed a new legislation that made it illegal to promote homosexuality, or even just to talk about being gay, to people under 18. It was awful. It discriminated against and targeted a community of people who deserve equality and compassion. Even worse, the law has since then been expanded to encompass people of any age, which has pushed communities even further underground. Many Westerners called for artists to boycott Russia because of it. I could understand the 2 schools of thought from critics. Either artists could stop performing in Russia in protest, or they could go there anyway, in solidarity with their fans.
I don't know about you, Steve, but what I've learnt from dictatorships, history, despots over the last 100 years is if you're part of a minority group living under a dictatorship, don't congregate in football stadiums.
I really don't know what to say to you right now. Except for cancel him, everybody. That's it.
Well, I wait to see what your editorial decision on that is later. We'll take it offline, shall we?
Cue the titles. Hello and welcome to Audiobook Club, the podcast about audiobooks that, like Elton John, has no problem performing in a Donald Duck suit at Madison Square Garden. On this week's show, I, Cowardly Lion Steve Phillips, and my faithful fellow traveller, Heartless Tin Man Matt Layton, set out to review Farewell Yellow Brick Road, Memories of My Life on Tour by Elton John and David Furnish.
How are you, Steve?
Yeah, I'm good, thanks. I don't know why I feel full of trepidation here. This is supposed to be a festive period of joy, this episode, tantalising our listener with audio trinkets to fill the stockings of their nearest and dearest for opening on Christmas Day. So why do I feel that with this intro, something else is going to happen?
Well, to be honest with you, Steve, there is some good news. I am much happier than I was 3 hours ago. When I thought we were going to have to recommend Farewell Yellow Brick Road by Elton John. Because, as I think our intro proves, the book is not what I wanted it to be. I went, brilliant. And in fact, why we came across this was Audible's new feature where the nice AI lady recommended. There's a new feature on Audible where if you've done a biography, it'll recommend some other biographies for you to read. I did the first 5 minutes of this book Farewell Yellow Brick Road by Elton John. I got 5 minutes into the intro read by David Furnish, who seemed to think that he was reading a book about David Furnish. But I was optimistic because there was a big cast list of people who were in it, including Richard Armitage, who is the narrator. And I thought, right, it's Elton John. We're going to get all of Elton John and all of the inside gossip about what happens backstage at tours, what his early gigs were like. Didn't he get married in the 1970s? And then he was... All of this stuff we're going to get. And that wasn't our experience, was it, Steve?
Well, I thought if you were after success after success after success and then hearing about it, I thought this book's right up your street. I tell you what, as we went through the book, because we sort of touched on it in conversations between last week's episode and this week's, is that, yes, initially when I started listening to this, it did feel, like everything generally went smoothly. But I tell you what, actually, as you listen to it more and you go through the COVID years when the tour had to stop and what he was going to do and all this, it's just quite interesting to just sort of see the other side and also get more facts as well. You did get facts about people he's worked with down the years and, little stories here and there. But yes, I do see what you mean by it was essentially every single tour stop I went to, they love me. And yeah.
Okay, now hold on. Tuesday night, I phoned you and I said, look, this is like wading through treacle. I'm not sure if we're going to be able to get a show out of this. And sometimes you come on here being Mr. Positive when I know what you're actually thinking. Can you tell me, please, what you actually said to me on Tuesday? I said, I'm sure it's going to get all right a bit later. And you said to me,
I cannot carry on like this. But that said, but since then, genuinely, as I've gone on, it's just, I don't know. It's just been quite interesting. It's quite interesting for yeah.
Steve, relax. We're going to sort this out. Number one thing we've learned is that we are not going to be replaced by AI. We are cleverer. Number two thing is, you know what? You've had some fun recently when we did the Jack Reacher book, which I loved and you didn't particularly like. You got to be a bit grumpy, and I thought. And as you know, my principle has always been, if we're asking our listeners or recommending an audiobook to our listeners, then we should at least like it, or at least one of us should. And I've never really done a negative review on here, and I'm really looking forward to tearing this book a new one. And then, fortunately, the story arc ends with good news.
Oh, sorry, I thought you were going to play a clip.
No, I'm not. Oh, I can play a clip. Hold on. Here's the clip that reflects what you said to me on Tuesday night.
Tour stops 49, 50, 51, 54, 55 and 56. Los Angeles, California. January 22nd, 23rd, 25th and 30th, 2019. February 1st and 2nd, 2019. Staples Center and the Forum.
Where this bus terminates.
There are some people you could listen to reading the phone directory. Richard Armitage, we don't normally come on to the voice artist this early, but what was your response emotionally to the choice of Richard Armitage as narrator?
Wasn't really what I was expecting. I just didn't think it was... and this is not Richard Armitage's fault, who is amazing. He's an amazing narrator. He's done some excellent books. He's a great voice actor. I didn't picture him as Elton John, to be honest, and I do wonder whether, I don't know. Was he sort of going, well, the money's good?
He's not a joyous small company. I think he hangs around the Audible offices. He seems to be in a lot of things on Audible Plus and that kind of stuff, and normally in a dramatic role. And they've probably gone, well, Elton's not doing this. Who can we get? Who is the biggest? And you're right. It is so wrong, and it's so. the phrase that keeps coming up with this book for me is tone deaf.
It would have been better if Elton John had read it. You know what I mean? It did feel when it said. I mean, I was expecting something Dirk Maggs-like, to be honest. But instead of full cast audio, you're expecting, what is it, a drama of the tour? But no, it's just people. Why couldn't they read it themselves? You know, I don't. Yeah.
There was also a little bit where you realise that 5 of the 6 members of the cast. It cuts to a chapter where the musicians say how wonderful it was to be on tour with Elton John. And to be honest, it sounded to me like they were in a voice booth being told what to say at gunpoint.
Yeah. I mean, this is...
Am I being... Look, Steve, we're normally so positive, right?
Yeah.
I've had a great... Because at the moment we're preparing shows for when I go away between Christmas and New Year, and we want to do a best of 2024. All of that will be incredibly positive.
Yeah.
I also had a great idea, right? Why don't we do what the YouTubers do, and instead of doing a best of, we could call it the Audiobook Club 2024 Awards.
Oh, awards, yeah. Yeah,
that's what you're meant to do these days, I think.
The award being some sort of sound effect, because obviously something tangible is beyond our budget, I guess, isn't it?
Yeah, all right. And we've got a Best of the Guest show coming up next month, as well as, all of our usual episodes. Who is Elton John to you, Steve?
Well, this is the thing. This is why it's so disappointing, actually. Now we're getting into it. Let's get into this. Here's what grinds my gears, right? This man is a legend. He has seen it, done it, been there, got the T-shirt. He has lived a life, and fair play to him. 77, retiring from touring, and in going to enjoy his life, spend time with his kids and his husband. And you know what? You got to say fair play to him. And he still wants to do other stuff, of course, but amazing! What an incredible life, ups and downs, like real highs, real lows for decades. And this book does not do it justice. There is an accompanying documentary out, which I think is time to come out with the book. It covers the same subject anyway. It's on Disney Plus, I think.
I think you've wasted more time on telling me about that documentary than I want to spend with it. Having read this book, it is. Again, tone deaf, I think. When I think of Elton John, so when I started, like my first job after university was working in a Virgin Megastore. And at the time, I learned so much about music there. And when I started, Louis Armstrong was the recording artist with the longest continuous career. He'd been from the 1920s to the 1960s, i.e. he'd covered 5 decades. Elton John has been a recording artist since the 1960s, 70s, 80s, 90s, noughts, 10s, 20s. So that's 7 decades. That's 2 more than Louis Armstrong. And also he's a personality, and we know him from the telly. He's, he's funny. He's lively.
He's very funny man. He's a genuinely funny man. He's also, there was the ITV documentary of, 10, 15 years ago, the Tantrums and Tiaras documentary, where you saw the full on kind of Elton John throwing a tantrum. But, he can also be self-deprecating as well and be interviewed by Matt Lucas, as Daffyd, from Little Britain, or Rowan Atkinson, who interviews him about his first name and how it's more of a surname than a first name, which is a hilarious sketch, and it's often buried on YouTube, but you can find it. But it's so funny. He's always up for a laugh as well, and he's very, very funny, very quick-witted. And, why didn't he read his own book?
Frank and outspoken are 2 of the words that I've written down here.
Yeah.
Frank and outspoken... This isn't.
Turning 60 was a milestone, one I was happy to share with a room full of fans, and I felt that my activism and fundraising around AIDS and HIV was my greatest achievement, even more so than the songs and the concerts.
For me, take away Richard Armitage, which is barrier enough, those don't sound like Elton John's words to me.
Oh, right. so we don't.
Don't you think? I mean, he's normally, he's, as you said in the tantrums and he's not afraid to show the grotty underbelly of his life. But this book just seems to be.
Yeah,
I'm not even sure he wrote it.
Well, yeah, I mean, he touches on. I mean, some of. I did. It's not like I didn't learn from this book. He learned about, especially. I mean, we'll maybe cover Watford in just a minute, but some of the things that he did for Watford Football Club, and playing there in a stadium with Rod Stewart and all the rest of it, and there's some genuinely really interesting stories in there, and what a life, for someone who sort of spends, obviously most of his time in America and he's like royalty over there, but he's also, life president of Watford Football Club and he, that's his club till he dies, But no, I agree with you. It's just such a shame. It would have been, what we are missing and what we probably don't have the context of is his actual autobiography, which is obviously a separate book, which was released 2019.
No spoilers, Steve. You might be ruining your own surprise here.
You haven't gifted me Elton John, the official autobiography, have you?
Oh, do you know what? I'm probably about to. You've disrupted my running order of my surprise and my build-up. But
I'm so sorry, Karen.
Quickly, I'm going to play you the again, tone-deaf Tel Aviv clip.
But why shouldn't I give the people there something to smile about? If I cancelled my upcoming shows, I'd be part of the problem. Instead, I performed in Tel Aviv, telling the crowd that I believe music spreads peace and brings people together, instead of separating us. That is what we do, I affirmed, noting, we do not cherry-pick our consciences, okay? I genuinely believe I can't avoid cities or states or countries that oppress people or fail to protect their citizens.
Yeah, didn't see you down the Gaza Strip, though, did we, Elton?
It's a bit near the knuckle. You can't say. Well, we're going to have to bleep that whole sentence. Yeah, we can't. Yeah.
No, I stand by that sentence. I.e., whoever wrote this, and I don't feel it's Elton, that is his motivation for going there and playing it. But the way he would present it and has presented it elsewhere is in the wider context of, I'm not a perfect human being, God, I've done some bad things. And I guess that just on its own, do you know what? Honestly, Steve, I think it smells of David Furnish. I think David Furnish has written this book, and I was irritated at Elton for being so lazy and not turning up and reading it. But to be honest, I now think he's tried to distance himself from it.
Throughout the Farewell Yellow Brick Road tour, I didn't bring very many special guests on stage. That was by design. It was my swan song, and the fans had come to see me.
Yeah, I mean, not a shrinking violet in terms of, there's humble bragging, isn't there? And there's,
Yeah. However, I have taken that clip out of context. And what the clip goes on to say is, but when I played Hove, which is great because it's next to Brighton and the crowds in Brighton are amazing, I brought Taron Egerton on. Taron Egerton, of course, who played him, as you mentioned, in the film of Rocket Man. And I just went, why, even if Elton couldn't be bothered to read this, why couldn't Taron Egerton have done it? He knows the voice, he knows the part.
Yeah.
And all of this is just really one-dimensional. And I just reached the end of my tether at that point. I went, Taron Egerton, and I went onto Google and I downloaded his autobiography, Me, which is mainly read by Taron Egerton, but Elton reads the first chapter.
I was on stage at the Latino Club in South Shields when I realised I couldn't take it anymore. It was one of those supper clubs that were all over Britain in the 60s and 70s, all virtually identical. People dressed in suits, seated at tables, eating chicken in a basket and drinking wine out of bottles covered in wicker. Fringe lampshades and flock wallpaper. Cabaret and a compere and a bow tie. It felt like a throwback to another era. Outside it was the winter of 1967 and rock music was shifting and changing so fast that it made my head spin just thinking about it. The Beatles' Magical Mystery Tour and the Mothers of Invention, The Who Sell Out and Axis Bold as Love, Dr. John and John Wesley Harding. Inside the Latino, the only way you could tell the swinging 60s had happened at all was because I was wearing a caftan and some bells on a chain around my neck. They didn't really suit me. I looked like a finalist in a competition to find Britain's least convincing flower child.
Yay!
That's brilliant. That's brilliant. That sounds completely different to this book. Completely different.
Yeah.
I wish he'd have read it and / potentially have written it. Yeah. Oh, Elton.
Yep. You get my point. Would you like some more?
Yeah, go on.
So the stuff I was looking forward to was stories of early gigs. You know, all musicians start off in the back of a transit van. That was one of the things I mentioned. You may have also mentioned we were at 70s parties where he, you know, there were smaller people with trays on their heads and drugs were taken. You know, I wanted to hear all these. And then, as I said, wasn't he married? All of these are hits in the first 4 chapters of this book, which is as far as I got because I only discovered it 3 hours ago. Here, have some of this.
The Dwight family temper. It was the bane of my life as a kid, and it remained the bane of my life when it became apparent it was hereditary. Either I was genetically predisposed to losing my rag, or I unconsciously learned by example. Whichever it was, it has proved a catastrophic pain in the arse for me and everyone around me for most of my adult life.
Yay!
Oh, wow. Brilliant. Yeah, it's exactly what you want.
But also, Taron Egerton, playing those 2 clips so close together, you just get... He's got Elton's rhythms. He's got Elton's delivery. And he sounds like a young... what you would think or would hope a young Elton John would sound like. Listening to the clip of Elton doing his funny stuff about the supper clubs, there is a little bit where you can hear a man who I don't think all of his dentistry is his own, and reading stuff it is not his prime vocation. And there's almost a bit where the Taron Egerton stuff, I would argue, he's better at being Elton John than Elton John is. Is that fair?
Yeah, he has really got it. It was amazing in Rocket Man, and Taron Egerton has done some fantastic performances himself. Eddie the Eagle, by the way, if you haven't seen that, definitely watch that. But he's an amazing actor. I
like the first 80% of Kingsman. I thought that was absolutely brilliant.
Yes, Kingsman as well. Yeah, before it went a bit weird. But yes, he's brilliant.
Yes, exactly. First 80%. Yeah. All right, here we go. Here's another one.
And we played the most bizarre clubs. There was a place in Harlesden that was basically someone's front room, and a place in Spitalfields where, for reasons I never quite established, they had a boxing ring instead of a stage. We played a lot of black clubs, which should have been intimidating a bunch of white kids from the suburbs trying to play black music to a black audience, but somehow never was. For one thing, the audiences just seemed to love the music. And for another, if you've spent your teens trying to play Roll Out the Barrel while the clientele of a Northwood Hills pub beat the living shit out of each other, you don't scare that easily.
Yeah, no, that's good. That is good. Right.
I think you're right. I think I do have to gift you this book. You often talk of the notion of your comfort book, and your comfort book is Steve Jobs. I am barely 2 hours into this book, and I keep having to pause it to look up the musical references. I wanted to know if his guitarist and engineer, Caleb Quay, was related to Finley Quay. You know, I had to stop and, this is on my first go at listening to it with a looming deadline. It was sending me off thinking about other things. And the whole idea of, the gigging in the... I haven't got to the 1970s yet. And for me... this is just amazing, and particularly, it's like stopping beating your head against the wall, having listened to the book we're meant to be reviewing, isn't it? It is. I hope you feel relief and joy.
This is night and day. It genuinely is. So, essentially, summing up today's episode is. Don't buy Farewell Yellow Brick Road, but buy Elton John's Autobiography Me, basically.
I think that's what we're trying to say. Yeah. You'll notice how your opening gambit was, well, let me read it back to you. On this episode of Audiobook Club, we urge you not to buy Elton John's new audiobook. And I think But yes, we urge you to buy Me, which was published a couple of years ago. Would you like another clip?
Yes, please.
You want it to be rude as well, don't you? You want his naughtiness.
You
to come
like
across.
it edgy, don't you, Steve? You like things a bit rough and edgy and earthy, don't you? You like earthy, don't you? Yeah. Here's, give me an earthy clip. You got a Carry On sort of clip. That'd be great. Yeah.
I do. You brace yourself.
Thank you.
The whole thing was a dream come true for me. I was playing with artists whose records I collected. My favourite was Billy Stewart, an absolutely enormous guy from Washington, D.C., signed to Chess Records. He was an amazing singer who had turned his weight problem into a kind of gimmick. His songs kept alluding to it. She said I was her pride and joy, that she was in love with a fat boy. He had a legendary temper. It was rumoured that when a secretary at Chess took too long to buzz him into the building, he'd expressed his irritation by pulling a gun and shooting the door handle off. And we quickly discovered a legendary bladder. If Billy asked for the van to pull over on the motorway because he needed to pee, you had to cancel what plans you had for the rest of the evening. You were there for hours. The noise from the bushes was incredible. It sounded like someone filling a swimming pool with a fire hose.
Hey, you said Carry On. I've got a clip here that's not even on the main thing of clips. It's called Bonus Clip. And in this one, Taron Egerton somehow has learned to speak Polari.
We played the cool London clubs, Sibylla's, the Scotch of St James's, where the Beatles and the Stones drank whiskey and coke, and the Cromwellian with its remarkable barman, Harry Hart, a man almost as famous as the pop stars he served. Harry was very camp, talked in Polari and kept a mysterious vase full of clear liquid on the counter. The mystery was solved when you offered to buy him a drink. Gin and tonic, please, and have one for yourself, Harry. He'd say, "Oh, thank you, love. Boner, just one for the pot, then." And he'd pour out a measure of gin, throw it in the vase, and drink out of it between serving people. The real mystery was how a man who apparently drank a large vase full of neat gin on a nightly basis remained vertical as the evening wore on.
That's brilliant. Oh, yeah, that's great. Yeah, definitely buy that one.
Where has Taron Egerton heard Round the Horn? How on earth did he know to do that voice in that way?
No, but Elton John must have heard Round the Horn, eh?
Yeah. Well, I think
Elton John will know his Julian and Sandy, won't he?
Well, funny enough, you'll be glad to hear and comfortable in your seat that clip 12 is called Gay. Now, obviously, you're quaking in your boots because you think I've done something wrong. But one of the things, again, missing from the "Didn't I do a great job travelling the world" tour book is that as I mentioned before, Elton John is married to David Furnish, but wasn't he married to a woman in the 1960s or 70s? You vaguely scratch your head, and where was that in this Goodbye, Farewell Yellow Brick Road book? It was nowhere. But in his autobiography, Me, he just handles it so well.
Of course, I never acted on any of them. I wouldn't have known how. I'd never knowingly chatted up anyone in my life. I'd never been to a gay club. I had no idea how you picked someone up. What was I supposed to say? Do you want to come to the cinema with me and maybe get your knob out later? That's the main memory I have of the reality of my sexuality dawning on me. I don't recall feeling anxious or tormented. I just remember wanting to have sex, having absolutely no idea how to do it and feeling terrified that I might get it wrong.
It really is. I mean, get your knob out in the cinema is obviously incredibly funny and appeals to me, but...
No, it doesn't appeal to you.
No, don't
say that. Don't say those sort of things. You're in enough trouble as it is, and you really don't want any more of that.
But that is I need a bite-sized clip to put on this show, but it's part of a much bigger story that actually he confesses to a half-hearted suicide attempt in the book where, he said most people, if they're going to top themselves, they go and do it on their own. But I did it in a flat full of people. I wasn't taking it seriously because I put the gas on low, opened the window, and put a pillow in the oven for me to rest my head on. I just I've fallen in love with this book. I have barely scratched the surface of it. I can't tell you how many times I laughed out loud in a good way, as opposed to the torture that was Farewell Yellow Brick Road, read by Richard Armitage. And yeah, I'm going back to this. I'm looking forward to, got a couple of long flights coming up, Steve. I'm going to dip into this, enjoy it, and also see what little journeys it takes me on, making me look up the historical stuff that is the background to all of this.
Yeah, I'm hoping, and I'm sure a lot of people have taken it, if they're going through down periods in their life, to sort of read the story, hear the story of Elton John in his own words, by him, obviously read by Taron Egerton, and take something from it, because this man has been to the lowest of the lows, and then obviously culminating in Farewell Yellow Brick Road, looking back. And you kind of think, yes, we don't like Farewell Yellow Brick Road as an audiobook because it feels very much phoned in. And essentially just like it's a 6-hour lap of honor, basically, isn't it? And it's basically just and you kind of think, oh well, why not? Go on. Just go for it. I mean, it's kind of like the audio. Oh, we'll do an audio book of the documentary. We'll get, we'll get Richard Armitage in to read to read you, and we'll get Barry off EastEnders to do one of the roadies. Do you know what I mean? It's just like, why not? I suppose, but unfortunately, it doesn't make for a very good listen, I'm afraid.
I hope it helps people who've been through the mental torture of trying to read Farewell Yellow Brick Road, because it's really good. It's the perfect antidote. But again, I will happily say that
it's a perfect antidote.
Farewell Yellow Brick Road is possibly the worst piece of audio that Elton John has ever been distantly involved in. I'm just going to quickly do this. We're going to click a button. I always, whenever I put on my, and this is how old I am, my Elton John Best Of CD, you just, every single track you go, oh, I've forgotten he'd done that.
Is that the one with the blue cover? It's got a blue cover of him on there?
No, mine's
like
a lot older than that. It doesn't go up to Dua Lipa, but there is one here on Amazon called Diamonds. But, Goodbye Yellow Brick Road, Philadelphia Freedom, I'm Still Standing.
Sad Songs, that's a good one.
They reach into your room. And for him to be associated, as I say, my conclusion earlier was that I don't think he's not been bothered to read this one. I think he wants to keep his distance from it.
Yeah, okay. Well, as usual in this episode of Audiobook Club, we do the 3-step process. So we'll talk about the author, the text, and the audiobook production. And I think we have busted that today, haven't we, really?
Have you been listening?
Oh, I know.
What have you been?
I was just
what do you think we've been
invoking
doing?
So that our listener, and I use that in the very much numerical sense, make sure we haven't forgotten about the usual 3-step process. But such was our depth of feeling about this audiobook that we have actually just blurted everything out under those 3 characters of the author, the text, and the performance, all in one huge bowl of audio bile critique.
That's good. That sounds like that would be one word in German. Audio bile critique. Right. I'm afraid I've done this poorly, and in the script, the bit at the bottom still recommends Farewell Yellow Brick Road. So I don't know how quick you are at typing. Probably better at me. Can you go onto Audible and tell everybody what we've recommended to them?
Yes, definitely. I'll do that right away. So you have been listening to an audiobook review recommendation, or not so recommendation, of Farewell Yellow Brick Road, Memories of My Life on Tour by Elton John and David Furnish with the foreword, performed by Richard Armitage and a full cast. 6 hours and 11 minutes, was released at the back end of September from Audible Studios. So he was, I think you could probably say, he was the king of the king of all he surveyed, really, couldn't you, Elton John, given the life he had and his stature in the musical firmament.
Are you feeling?
And speaking of kings and queens, Matt.
It's one of your links.
Hang in there, yes.
Okay,
yeah.
Hold on. Can we just say that? But we recommend that you read Me by Elton John. voiced by or narrated by Taron Egerton and Elton John doing the first chapter, which is just about enough, although he may come back later and I won't object. And I think it's a Penguin. We seem to gravitate towards Penguin, don't we? But it's available on...
It's actually Macmillan. Yes, sorry, it's Macmillan Audio, this one, released in 2019. It's 12 hours and 29 minutes long, and actually Elton John reads the epilogue as well as the introduction, with Taron Egerton reading the main body of the book. And that's that's the one. Me by Elton John. Treat yourself this Christmas. Give the gift of Me by Elton John. Out now, and has been for the last 5 years.
5 years, yeah.
Yes, indeed, yes. Finger on the pulse as ever on this show. There's Rod Stewart, the autobiography as well, actually, while I'm audible.
Focus.
That's a Penguin one. Right, okay then. Yes, so anyway.
We apologise.
Many years ago, we were talking about kings and queens.
Well, we apologise to any offence caused to Penny Lancaster in particular.
Oh, yes. What a week that bloke has had, honestly, really, honestly. Yeah. Right, so next week's book is Unruly. This is the history, or a history, of England's kings and queens. It's written by David Mitchell, who also performs the book, 11 hours and 39 minutes. Penguin Audio for that one. And I've actually already started listening to this, actually. Unfortunately, so it's just my despondency with this week's book that I thought I quite fancy having a go at next week's book to keep morale up. So so I've started on that one. But yeah.
So as you were careening towards your weekly deadline with this ghastly book that we were meant to be reviewing, you decided...
Skip a week.
I've got 45 minutes of speach to fill. Let him do it. That's basically I'm going on to read the book I like.
Never. I've got a confession to make. I actually started listening to Unruly by David Mitchell during last week's book of Lee Child.
Sure, it wouldn't surprise me. You started listening to Unruly by David Mitchell during last week's podcast.
Yes, during last week's podcast. Yeah, well.
During the recording of last week's podcast. I thought, this isn't any good. I'm going to get me some David Mitchell.
Yeah, I might get ahead of the game here a little bit. Anyway, we'd love to know what you think of all this. It's an audiobook club after all, so you can message us on Instagram. We are at Audiobook Show. We're also on Blue Sky at Audiobook Show at .bluesky.
That's a good. We could do that for Christmas. You know, you were looking for a quiz format we could do, or a game show format.
Yeah,
we could do Audiobook Shy, where you sit on a swing above a big tank of water and people throw
hardbacks at me. Yeah, great. Lovely. That sounds great, mate. Yeah, love that. Yeah, if you'd like to throw, that would be good for the live show, isn't it? Where we get the audience to come up and literally throw hardbacks at us.
Yeah, well, the live show, the Royal Albert Hall hosted the Rested Entertainment last night as we record, and on Monday, the newsagents. Somehow, I don't think we're going to worry the Royal Albert Hall's health and safety people at any point soon, Steve.
No, I think it'll be the Royal Albert WI
Dock.
Town Hall in Heckman-Wyke or something, I imagine.
I think Royal Albert Dock was quite good.
Royal Albert Dock, yeah, that'd be quite nice. Yeah, there's nothing there. It'll be on the dock side with us people throwing hardbacks. Maybe a toss a coin. So whoever's the winner gets paperbacks thrown at them, and the loser gets hardbacks thrown at them.
No, you're the one on the swing, pal.
Yeah, I think I'm actually. I feel I'm swinging, but also digging quite a deep hole because this episode still hasn't finished at 40 old minutes in. So, Audiobook Show is where you'll find us on Instagram and on Blue Sky.
You didn't care about that 2 days ago when you were listening to David Mitchell's Unruly, did you? No.
Getting ahead of the game. It's quite a long book. Yeah, it's a good idea, isn't it? Anyway, I think you get the idea with the social media there. We're on Instagram and Blue Sky. We're also on Twitter, but we haven't looked at it for a little while because I just called it Twitter, not X, as it has been for about 2 or 3 years now. But yes, we'd love to know what you think. And also tell us what you're reading. What do you give? Are you giving an audiobook away for Christmas? Which one was it? Oh, and by the way, you mentioned the Rest of the Entertainment podcast. Actually, Richard Osman recommended a really good true crime book, by the way, which is by, I think it's called The Peep Show. And it's by...
You know what I say? I say, stay in lane, Richard Osman. This is our patch. We recommend audiobooks. We've beaten Amazon/Audible's big computer AI. We are better at recommending audiobooks than the algorithm. You go off and do your little podcast. This is our turf.
I was quite disappointed with the AI recommendations at the end of today's book. The voice does sound very, like it's the very first AI voice. Yes, The Peep Show by Kate Summerscale, by the way. That is the recommendation there.
I have no problem. As I say, as yet, Steve, you and I are yet to be... We have defeated the robots. We have yet to be replaced by robots.
It's only a matter of time. It's in the post, let's face it.
True that.
Yep. Right then, we shall make this episode stop. Please move along to your next podcast in your list, because frankly, we need someone to stop us. And we'll see you next time for Unruly by David Mitchell. Ta-da.